Hey guys, it's Tyler from Grace and Silence, and I am really excited to be here with Arsenic Addiction. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Thank you for
I'm
having
doing
us.
good. Yeah, no, I'm really excited, and I've had a lot of fun listening to your guys' music, and I want to come see you guys play soon. And I heard that you were doing a festival show in Tennessee, and I wanted to hear more about that and just hear what that's all about.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and yeah, thanks for inviting us, and always inviting us to play shows. We hope to play with you guys sometime soon too.
No, I'd love to.
So yeah, we're playing in Jackson, Tennessee on October 5th, and we were invited out there, and it's called the Metal Devastation Festival, and it's just something that these great people have put on. That's a local event that
Who are really true. I think what makes this festival great is they are genuine fans of the metal scene. Mm-hmm. And there are very few people in this industry that want to give kind of people at our level support or a leg up, and that is like their whole premise for the festival is they want to take underground bands and showcase them to say, hey, like, you know, the big bands are awesome, but look what's happening underground, and it's amazing. So they really are doing it for the love of it. No. It's probably the first festival we've played where they reached out to us and they said, hey, we want you to come play this festival. And we're like, awesome, how much is it going to cost us? And they're like, oh no, we're going to pay you. We were like, you're going to pay us?
Of course we'll come. No, they're super, super awesome. So yeah, we're looking forward to that big time. And we even tried to plan a couple shows on the way out, which is surprisingly difficult to do.
The touring industry has definitely changed a lot since we've been out, and even just trying to get a small local nobody show out of town has proven to be difficult, just because I think a lot of it now has turned into digital numbers.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, the way that it's changed, right? Where now, like, a lot of what people will determine whether they want you to play is kind of this social proof. It's like, you know, what does your Instagram look like?
Yeah. What's your Instagram following? How many Spotify followers and listeners do you have? What's your traffic looking to your website? Like, all those things matter now. And growing up, for us, it was like we were told to tour to get exposure. And now it's the opposite.
It's like get exposure so you can tour.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really flip-flopped, and it's funny, you know, and I'm sure you guys see it all the time. You know, these interviews with these, like, huge legendary-ass rock stars from the 80s and 90s, and they're like, man, I don't get it. You just got to play live, man. You just got to play. And it's like, that's really easy to say coming from that time period, right? Where you could.
Well, and they didn't have to wear so many different hats.
For sure.
Their job was to create music and be the rock star and kind of the personality. And now not only do you have to do those two things, but now you have to be a content creator. Mm-hmm. And you have to be an authentic content creator. People have to relate to you as a person as well as
business person as well.
Yeah, that too. You have to know about the industry. And it can be really overwhelming.
It's really intense. And, you know, and I relate to that a lot, especially, you know, as I've started to delve into this more and more as what I want to do. It's like, you know, it is such a Herculean task, you know, like there's a lot to be done, but you guys have been doing it for a long time and you've stayed motivated for a really long time. And what do you think is kind of the key to that, to not fizzling out, to not saying we're done?
Just being so stupid to just keep going, you know? No, I'm just joking.
At the end of the day, I really think you do have to do what you love, no matter, like, who says, oh, that's not marketable or won't sell. Like, you have to love what you do.
Yeah.
So I make music first and foremost, which is, I think a lot of musicians and artists in general are very self-serving. I make it for me. And... because I have that because I'm an Aquarius and a special spirit, I need to be perceived, you know? So I kind of want to share that with the world. Sure. And hopefully someone, even if it's one person, relates to it and goes, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, so it's like a form of validation.
Sure, no. Well, it's kind of like, this is an expression of who I am and how I feel and my perceptions of the world, and there's something really special about being able to share that and have it impact people, right?
Yeah, like, and find your people, your community.
Totally.
And so that is ultimately the way I do it, and it's like my own form of therapy. There are things you can do and say in music that are acceptable, where if you were just to say those things to a person or whatever, it might sound crazy or insane.
No, for sure.
But put it to guitar and bass and drums, and somehow it's like, yeah, that's awesome.
And it's like, yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And so, when did this band first form, and how did you two meet?
Well, we met in middle school, so we've known each other for forever. And
awesome.
I remember, I wanted to start a band, and I basically started playing guitar and when I was about 13 or 14, and my buddy picked up drums, and they taught me power chords, and I was like, all right, and he knew a drum beat, and we're like, we're a band now. So we always knew Haley from school because she was the singer. It's every talent show she would sing. It was different. It was pop music and stuff. So she was singing Christina Aguilera and stuff that. So funny. But I was in love with bands like Blink-182 and stuff, and I still am. And I just wanted to play that kind of stuff. And my dad was in a band, so I always fantasized about being a musician.
That's cool. What does your dad play?
He plays bass.
Cool.
He played bass in a top 50s band, and this is back in the day. That's how he helped pay for his college and living and stuff. He went to college here and just would go and play, and then when they're out of school, he'd go tour with his band up in Canada and just play all these bars for a couple months and come home and have enough money to scrape by and everything. So I always heard those stories and just loved that idea. Loved bands like Guns N' Roses and stuff, and then we convinced her to come and sing for our band, and we were just doing Evanescence covers and stuff. And
Amy Lee is a hell of a singer.
She is.
Yeah.
And for me, I grew up. My mom did musical theater, so I was a theater kid. And
no way.
Could you tell? And my dad was a drummer, and just for fun though, he never really made anything of it. And so I grew up in a musical household, so I always knew I wanted to be a performer. And I hate that I have to give the credit for my love of metal music to a guy, but I had my first official boyfriend, and he was in a band and in a metal band. And I went and saw him perform, and I had never heard that kind of music before, and I fell instantly in love. And I felt bad because as his girlfriend, I was like, yeah, it's cool that my boyfriend is a musician, but I can do that, and I can do it better.
And I can do it a lot better.
Yeah, so I'm like, I want to do that.
Hell yeah.
And so I dove into heavier bands, and I think everybody kind of finds metal through the very mainstream basic, Slipknot and Manson and kind of the surface. And the more I dove into it, I realized it's a whole community, and there's a whole pool of these different genres of what heavy metal is. And so about 2006 is when we formed Arsenic Addiction, and had kind of a little bit of an identity crisis, just because he said, he was into Guns N' Roses and Blink-182, and I had just started getting into more European metal,
or bands like Kitty and stuff.
Kitty was
Kitty's lit as shit.
Yeah, Kitty was my first woman in metal that I was
totally.
She can scream like the dudes. How do I do that?
And you've got bands now, and I personally I think that female lead singers in metal, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it can be super rad, and you listen to bands like Spirit Box and stuff like that, and it's these women can scream with the best of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And I think back in the day that just wasn't, that was the exception, not the rule.
Sure.
Metal has always been kind of a boys' club.
For sure.
Yeah. So it was really hard when I first started screaming, because when you first start doing heavy vocals, you're not good at it.
No. Yeah, when I started like trying to learn how to do that a few years ago, it's like, yeah, of course it sounds like shit.
Yeah. And so our very, very early stuff, like it kind of sounds like an upset little girl screaming into a microphone, but it's not inaccurate, you know?
Yeah.
So I've definitely tried to hone in my scream as it progresses, but it's so wonderful now to see, Spirit Box and Ginger and just
I love Ginger.
all these female fronted bands that are just
Awesome.
like, wow.
Yeah,
I love when women.
And it's so
like,
cool to see Kitty have like their resurgence because
they're
like
having, their renaissance.
we went from playing Evanescence covers to playing Kitty covers like all the time. And Kitty was that one band that always when they toured through, like we just couldn't open for them. We wanted to open for them so many times, and like some band would be thrown on the bill and you're like, God damn it, should be us.
Or the one time we were on the bill, they canceled their tour.
That's so fucked.
And so I was like, one day, even though I'm a completely different genre, I still will share the stage with you. One day. But so we've just been going about it for forever. And because I think it's been such a long journey, we've evolved from nu metal all the way to what we are now, which is more like blackened Gothic symphonic metal.
And I think the reason why we kind of keep going is just because her and I just don't give up. I don't know. Like, I think it's because it's not just one person driving the band. Like, it's her and I working together. And we're the only two original members from that 2006.
It's the metal power couple. It's super sick.
It's just funny, man, because we've had a bunch of members kind of come in and out, and this has been, or at least most recently, this has been our favorite lineup of Arsenic, and the most cohesive and everything. And I mean, I just think it's because I really have always just dug her vocals and really write well with her.
Would you believe that he's my biggest fan?
Yes.
I do believe that.
I do. No, and I'll take like second or third. No, I love your vocals. And that's actually one thing I wanted to talk about as far as your 2019 record and then the single that you released last year. So a big standout for me was the vocal sound, like on that last record, and then on Mary Immaculate, that single. I love that song, by the way. And
Thank you.
And we got to talk about it in a minute. But as far as tracking those vocals, like how much layering are you doing? How much, I guess, like what's the process of getting that sound for you?
So it changes per song and kind of what the song needs. With XIX specifically is the first time my actual vision was met. Because we decided to record with our producer now, Randy Beasterfield of Beast Recordings. And I loved, for the first time I could go to him, I go, you know what? I want to build a choir. And he goes, okay. And then we just stand there and I'll do a line like of highs and mids. He'll do like bass lows. Randy will do some singing. And then we just build what we call the Arsenic Choir. So it's just literally 3 or 4 people with our voices layered to bring what sounds like a congregation of people.
Yeah.
As far as like my main vocal, for the most part, I just do a single vocal and then I'll add a few harmonies where I find that are like key points that will add to the song. This new album we're working on with new music, it'll be probably even less layered on my main because we're going a little more towards that like black metal sound. So
fuck yeah. No, and the Evanescence vibe is obviously there as far as like your vocal sound and just how you approach like the phrasing in the songs. And no, your vocals are just super, super powerful, and I think it really, really fits the music. And I'm stoked to come see you guys play sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like I said, this is what I love doing. And so for me, it's just, I want to be able to tell stories with my music and I want people to feel what I was feeling when I wrote that song. And I hope that translates not only from the album, but to live. So far, I think we've been pretty successfshe like with my harsh vocals, sometimes I'll layer those in the sense of my, our old bass player would do, she had a really, really low, like almost Randy Blythe type Lamb of God scream.
Yeah.
And
I love Randy.
Yeah, she has a great scream.
Yeah. her like lows are insane, and that's kind of where I lack, and mine are a little more mid and high. So sometimes I would put her there just for like
totally just to get that support.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we've been doing a lot on the like debut Grace and Silence record, shameless plug. It's coming out in like a month. Be tuned for it. It's going to be dope as fuck. So be ready to listen.
we will listen.
But it's I try to like double a lot of the screams, having like a lot of like low growls and then high screams as well. You know, it just helps to really fill out that sonic range.
Yeah. And so on XIX, she's actually not vocally present, but she is present on Sonnet.
Yeah, a couple of the single releases we had, she wasn't in the band when we finished XIX. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, but live, she would add her heavy vocals.
Yeah.
And it added so much and just made it sound so much fuller. So to be able to pull off something in live music that almost sounds better than the record is just like
no,
awesome.
Totally create an experience with everyone that's there, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, and we do use backing tracks. I know it's a little controversial in the metal world, but like, I want people when they hear a record to come to the show and go, not only does it sound like the record, but it sounds even better. Totally. Like, I always find it kind of disappointing when you hear this amazing symphonic record and then you go see the band and you're like,
Where's the violins?
Where's the violin?
Sure. No, totally. And my band does the same thing. We have like synth tracks, keyboard tracks.
Yeah.
You know, and just my own personal opinion on it is I don't have any issue with backing tracks in any way. I think that for the most part it's just aiding the live performance, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
If you listen to 99.9% of bands who use tracks, you listen to their track, just the tracks by themselves, and it doesn't sound like really anything.
No.
Yeah.
Like it'll be like blank space and then you're like, and all of a sudden here's a violin.
Yeah. It's just a metronome and then you'll hear like a harmony sung somewhere and a violin or some synth or something come in.
Yeah, for me, like the only place where it's like wrong, in my opinion, is if you're like, you know, faking something on stage and pretending to play it.
Yeah.
But it's not you. That's goofy.
Yeah.
That's goofy shit.
It's giving Britney. It's giving Miss Spears, you know?
No, for sure. It's giving Motley Crue. No, totally.
And their new AI music video, which is weird.
I'm
Their
so
new AI
sad.
music video.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just animation or if it's AI, but none of them are actually in the music video.
It's all, it looks like
So, like,
really shitty, like 90s video game-esque technology kind of stuff. Where it's
I
like
haven't seen it.
I only saw a
Please
clip of
watch
it.
it.
Okay, so like how new are we talking? Like
It was
Like
early.
recently.
It was earlier this year.
Yeah.
okay.
But I love John Five so much. He's one of my like top 5 favorite guitar players.
He's tight.
And he's in that band, and I'm like, I still love you. I mean, you're good. You're still good.
Yeah, it's like you're still obviously great guitarist,
But you're with these guys. It's
but
okay.
why?
Yeah,
Why with these assholes?
Why
Please
Motley
stop.
Crue?
Please stop.
No, for sure. But what about music is the most important part to y'all? Like, what are the elements where it's like, this is how I know it's what I want to do forever?
I mean, for me, I love recording and I love performing. Like, so that for me is just like, I love, I'm going on tour. Like, I've always loved when I'm with a group of people and you're all just clicking and you don't have to do anything besides get to the next place and play. And it's a lot of driving and it's a lot of waiting and it's a lot of sitting. But I love that. Like, I love just making those, you know, those small memories where it's like, oh yeah, that one time we were stuck in Salem, Oregon, you know, for 2 days and that was pretty funny, you know, like that kind of stuff. So for me, it's, I love being able to have a reason to go play guitar, you know? And
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to like travel the world with some of their best friends, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
especially if you all vibe with one another. Like, it's almost being a career musician almost sounds silly because it is just almost like playtime the whole time because you're just like fucking around with your friends and then you get to go play this awesome show with this music that you love and then you just go back to fucking around with your friends. Like, it sounds amazing, but like I said, the biggest thing for me is not only that, like when I, you know, am on my deathbed or too old to do this anymore, that I can go, I did what I loved for a living, like, and I didn't let anybody tell me no or deter me. And I spoke about before, I was able to spread kind of my story and my message and find like-minded people. And I think music for me is all about connection. And so just connection with my bandmates, connection with people around the world, like the community, like metal especially. Like I come from pop girly roots, so like I'm not opposed to pop music, but it is a completely different feeling when you're in the metal community. Like it's just it's almost mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Like,
and I love the idea of like she was saying, being able to travel the world. Like last year we went to Toluca, Mexico and played a festival, and
That's super rad.
it was
played the
How'd that go?
Oh, it's scary.
Yeah,
we
it
played
was-
the Hell in Heaven festival, and Billy Idol was headlining it, and
Guns N' Roses was headlining. The night we played, Slipknot was headlining. You know, and of course we're nowhere near their stage. We're in the stage that's way out by the
we're at the
parking lot.
little guy stage in the parking lot.
But it was cool to go play that, and the people there are like amazing. My favorite story was like they don't paint their speed bumps there, so their speed bumps are just black. So at night, we finally played the set. It was just a pain in the butt getting there with the language barrier and like getting into the building and playing, or the festival grounds. We played and we're driving back and we're on what I thought was a highway, and we're all like laughing and yeah, we did it, blah 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 blah. And I see the car like slow down next to me. I'm like, why are they slowing down? And boom, it was like slow motion. We hit a speed bump.
And my guitarist and I in the back that hit our heads on the roof of the car. We're like, what are you doing? Stop taking it off sweet jumps. We gotta bring this baby back in one piece.
So we got back to our Airbnb, and like it was a great experience, and I'm super happy we got to do it with the
It was a
band.
horrible great experience.
Yeah, it was
Those
bad.
are the best.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
Yeah, it was hard.
Because it's the hardest thing we've ever done. We've never played out of the country before. So just trying to navigate even just getting to the festival.
Totally, it's a lot. It's like there's a lot of, and you know, a lot of people don't understand like just how much you have to bring to these shows.
And this festival,
The communication just like fell apart towards the end. Like the people we had communication with, it's like we got there and we're like, the place you told us to go doesn't exist, and there was just like nobody.
yeah, pretty
answered.
much like once the wheels of the airplane touched the ground, the festival was like chirp, chirp, chirp,
Yeah,
chirp.
they're like,
and
shut
so
off.
we were like, okay. So we managed to still find our way to the festival, get in, find our stage, and we were... I can't explain the adrenaline release that happened once we were up there and the first note just hit. And it was even scarier because the stage we were playing was mostly where people were like lining up to go see the big bands. And so I was like, oh shit, like we came all the way to Mexico and we're going to play for like nobody. Like that kind of sucks. And then like we hit the first note and all of a sudden there's like 200 people making their way over to like watch us, and then the adrenaline hit because I was like, oh, now I'm nervous.
Well, now it's like, you know, you switch from one problem to the next. Oh no, fuck, no one's gonna come listen to us. Shit, they're gonna come listen to
They're
us.
looking at me, I'm gonna throw up. Like,
I know, she got off stage like at that show to go down to like, because she normally goes and says hi to everybody.
and I forgot, like it's not like a local show; it's a giant festival. So I go down there, and all of a sudden, all these people go woof and just surround me, and I'm in the middle of all these people, and I was like, I didn't think about this.
I need an adult.
This was short-sighted.
But you know what? I never felt unsafe. Like I said, the metal community is wonderful, especially down there. And
Yeah, I love Mexico.
yeah, they were wonderful. Like they were so supportive, and they were just like, "Can we take a picture with you? Can we like?" Somebody asked because I wear these devil horns on stage. Like they're like, "Can I have your horns?" And I'm like, "Oh, I love them. They have to come home with me." But like, it was just so special that they wanted a piece of that. Like
Totally.
Yeah, it was
I've never
fun.
had that happen before.
They wanted a piece of that experience to
Yeah.
remember, and that is special, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
that means that you did affect them in that way.
Yeah. And so it was totally surreal. And so having done that now, as hard as it was, I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
No, and that's kind of like, I feel like all of us musicians were kind of like dogs chasing cars, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like,
Yes.
It's but you can't help but do it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I sometimes, you know, just sitting alone, you know, at 3 a.m. and just like, you know, and I just think to myself, and I'm like, am I able to do this?
Yeah.
And then I start to think to myself, well, Am I able to stop?
Yeah.
Fuck no. I can't stop. I know that I wouldn't be able to stop,
That's a legit question, man.
So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. The other doesn't matter.
I think that is, you put it exactly how we feel about it. There are days where we're like, oh man, how long do we let this continue on for? Because it is such a tough industry, and it's almost like that doubt is so fleeting that you've already talked yourself to continue before you even finish the doubt.
They're like, should I keep going on? I should get downstairs. I have an idea. Like, it's just...
I need to play my guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's an addiction for sure. It's to creating. But it's a good one, and it allows all of us to kind of work through the other things in life. And before we were recording, we were talking a little bit about. I just forgot what I was going to say. Give me a couple seconds. I'm going to get right back to it.
No, you're good.
What were we talking about right before this? I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say. It doesn't matter, but I do know, like, one of the last things that I would like to talk about is, what do you see yourselves doing in, like, 5 years? What is the place where do you have your sights set?
For me, it's definitely, hopefully in 5 years, we can have 2 new albums released and done. I would love to be touring Europe, and if we could just get to a place where we're breaking even, I don't even care if we're making money, but just like where the band pays for itself.
Yeah.
That would be like the sweet spot. And that's like, I know people are like, dream big, and I'm like, yeah, no, of course I want like the big all everything, but realistically I think that can happen where we can get to a place where we're breaking even and our, day jobs are still going to, shit that's boring, like mortgages and all that, and bills, and that we have a lineup that's still going strong. And because musicians are the worst parts of being in a band,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the worst and best part. And I love my band members, and so I just want to get
but we're all the worst to deal
with. 100%. And so I just want to get to a place where I feel secure in our lineup, and then that will be the future of where we're at. So
yeah, I think for me, I know her and I talking, like, our main goals for the next 5 years are to release new music and to kind of just build our community, like the metal community here, help support it as best we can and build it, get support, give support back, and also go around and play our surrounding states a little bit, and try to build that, like,
build
with it
more of a foundation.
Yeah, with it being harder to book tours, for places you haven't been to, because we're playing Kansas City and we're playing Pueblo, Colorado.
Cool.
It's just difficult if they have no idea who you are. Like, the chances aren't just given like they used to be, like 10 or 12 years ago, where it's just you hit up a venue and they're like, yeah, sure. It's like most of them just ghost you, and it will just be easier to kind of build that community. So I know that that's kind of what our main goal is to just keep building and
getting back to our roots. Like, I think we did our band career backwards. Like I said, back in the day, you were told, you have to tour. And so we did that, where we started going out on these like weekend warriors, and then it was 2-week tours, and we'd play like Salt Lake City like every weekend. Like, we would just play. But then I feel
like the music was, we needed to spend more time on like our music and our package of what we were presenting.
For sure.
And like I said, the home base community, the foundation, and so that's kind of our plan for here, is to play more local shows, attend more local shows, to like
be supportive
of like people that are at the same level we are, because I think, like you said before recording, we're all in this together.
For sure.
And no one's going to give us a hand up, so we have to help each other. Like,
yeah. No, and circling back to what I forgot I was going to say, and I remember now. We were talking about just like how people who excel at creative things, are always so just weird and difficult to work with. Like, all of us are just a bunch of fucking wackos. You know, and so it's really difficult to, like, keep a band together for that reason, because you get all these weird, unbalanced people together to create this art, and then you've got to keep them from killing each other.
Or not to get dark, or themselves.
Exactly.
And when it works, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, when you can make that work, it's awesome. You know?
I think as musicians, we're just a bunch of adrenaline junkies.
For sure.
Because there is nothing like the vibe of when you do work with this group of people and you create this thing and you're just like, that's amazing. And then you go and perform it and you're like, it's amazing.
It's amazing, and then people are moshing. People think it's amazing.
It's
the best, right?
It is. You get addicted to kind of like that musician's high of just...
Yeah, then you're sitting there writing with that person the next week and you're like, talk to me like that again and I'll kill you.
Well, I just, like you said, I just think as musicians our weirdness and our quirks run really high. And so
For sure.
It's like being married to like 4 different people at once.
Yeah, totally.
So you have to like navigate everybody's little neuroses.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It is like a bunch of mini relationships, right?
Yeah, and you have to be supportive.
Well, because music creation is so intimate. Like,
Totally. You know, you're allowing people to, you know, see the most vulnerable parts of you. Yeah. And that's really sacred in a lot of ways, you know? I mean, you know, when you're writing with someone and it's fully open, you know, there's nothing that's off limits to talk about, you know, so there is a truly intimate connection there.
Yeah, so it is. It's the closest thing you can get to being in multiple marriages. And, like, so you do. Sometimes you absolutely love them, and then sometimes it is the hardest thing you've ever done because you're like, I love you so much, but you hurt me all the time. I want to kill you.
Yeah. No, but I appreciate you guys coming on, and I'm really glad that I got to sit down and talk to you because you're both great people, and
Thank you.
And I'm really excited to hear the music you've been working on. All of you watching better listen to their music right now, whole discography, back to back to back to back to back, because it's all dope as shit.
Thank you so much for having us. We are truly flattered and grateful to be here.
Thank you.
So.
No, I'm really glad that you guys were interested in coming, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
I try, we see, we fight, we're so right.